Welcome to the video. My name is Dr. Adam Sawyers. I am a not very good powerlifter and a pretty good online coach. Now, at the minute, I'm recovering from a bilateral quadriceps tendon rupture repair. So, this is my training log. Today, that's the wrong way for the volume. Today, the plan is to bench. So, last week, I worked up to 110 for 3x5. Set 1, 112.5 for 5. Well, that's the plan anyway. Bit embarrassing if I can't do this for 5, eh? Yeah, that was as easy as you'd expect it to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rest for a minute or two. I'm going to evaluate the performance on that set and decide whether up to go up. So the actual, what I've actually got written down on my plan is 3 sets of 5 at 112.5, which is this load. But I'm giving myself a bit of a free rein. This is all just what's the word when somebody's basically just trying to come up with excuses? Confabulation, mental gymnastics as to how I can justify going heavier. And the plan says, so the plan says 3 sets of 5 with 112.5. Obviously I've done the first one. I would say that was, so RPE, I talked about RPE, I think it was the same day last week, or a couple of days ago, of how like RPE 3-4, kind of a waste of time. That was too low of an RPE to accurately assess. I would say it was like, I think I could have done 5 or 6 more, but we'll go with an RPE 5 for that. Stick that on as what it is, and then I'll just progress each week as and when, and then on the days where I want to, I'll progress more. But the whole goal is just to not go backwards now. So for the training, I've mentioned this on the last few videos, but not everybody watches all of them. So the current goals with the training is a 600 kilo total. So that's probably going to be a 120 squat, a 180 bench, and a 300 deadlift. I realise that this does not look like the benching of a 180 kilo bencher. That's because I'm on week 2 of the benching after having a month off, roughly a month off, intentionally. So just reintroducing the movements and starting again, which is also why I'm kind of like, should probably just stick to the program. As far as my quads are going at the minute, they're actually not too bad. Obviously, they're up and down. But I was talking earlier to Rach about the recovery, and it took about 3 years before my shoulder felt normal again after the operation on that. So it's not unreasonable to expect this to take the same amount of time. Hopefully it's sooner, but if I bear that in mind on the days where it's not feeling as great, it's fine. It just helps reframe it. Now, at the minute, the only issue I'm having with like normal life is this ankle. So I've had an MRI scan done on it, and there's edema of the bone. Edema basically is it's inflammation, swelling in the bone. That shouldn't be there. It's likely because of a healing fracture, which means there's either a fracture there or a healing fracture there that's not healed properly. So I'm still waiting to find out what's going on there. Even with private stuff, there's still a wait in certain appointments and things. So I can't really make it go any faster than I already am. I'm ringing NHS and private every day, like, have you got any appointments any sooner? They're probably sick of me by now. So I'm sorry as it's the same person I keep talking to, who were in each one. And she's probably, well, 2 different women obviously, but they're probably sick to death of hearing from me. So that's the update on these things that I was going to say nobody asked for, but I do get messages on Instagram 3-4 times a week from different people asking. So that's the update on that. And then what rants have we got today? I'm not sure yet. I'll see what pops into my head. Anyway, I shall do another set. For this one, I'm going to try and put a bit of oomph into it. I'm not sure how obvious the oomph was, but I felt it pulling on my quad tendon actually a little bit. So I was putting some tension in through my legs, but it wasn't very pleasant. So I'm going to go back to just doing it how I was, with the minus the oomph. Again, RP5 feels heavy in the hands, but it's just because I've not done it for a while. Last week when I was benching, I had like the bruising sensation on my chest, just again from not being used to it. But that seems to have gone now, so that's not a problem. So I'm on Reddit, and there is in powerlifting diet discussion thread. So far, there's 2 comments. So one of them is, I did something out of sheer laziness the other day, and I think I'm a genius. I've been adding more protein shakes to my diet. I use unflavoured powder, so I usually add honey to make them palatable. I don't like drinking multiple servings of sugar, so I've tried something different. Random Pedialyte powder pack, so I dump that in. Milk, protein, Greek yogurt, strawberry powder pack. Tastes just like a strawberry milkshake. Much less sugar than a serving of honey. And the Pedialyte stuff. I'm a genius. It's not a bad idea in terms of just getting more protein in. If you don't eat enough protein to have shakes throughout the day, feels like common sense. But I'm very glad that that's helped somebody. Anyway, so sometimes between sets, I'll reply to client messages and stuff. Sometimes when I've got the video running, it'll just be exactly what you see. But what I'm doing at the minute is I'm trying to make these easier to watch for people, for the people that do enjoy them. And at the minute, because I'm not doing any particularly big lifting, I'm trying to edit out a lot of the fluff. So what I'm doing is, on a morning I tend to do cardio, but easy cardio, like on a desk bike, or if I'm walking on a treadmill. I'll edit the videos then, and I'm trying to like cut out any of the dead spaces or whatnot. Anyway, with that said, shall do my third and final set. That was alright. That felt harder than the last ones, but still not super difficult to quantify. So, but I'm gonna go with a 6 on that. I definitely do 4 more. Gun to my head, if I had to, probably 5. I'm not sure. I do think it's difficult to judge the RP on the slighter sets. Next up, I'm going to cambered bar front raises. So something I've been trying to do, which I've not been doing a very good job of, is to actually remember to put everything away between workouts instead of just leaving it out. And so this is me trying to hold me accountable for doing this moving forwards, is to make sure that I actually do put everything away. As if by magic, this has been sorted back out. So I had to take the safeties out of here because the cambered bar means I can go lower than my waist, which means I can get a bigger range of motion, which means it's more of a stretch on my front delt and feels like more of a stimulus. Now, I am a huge fan of front raises as a bench accessory. However, they do tend to cause overuse issues in a lot of people if you train the same pattern repeatedly for lots of training blocks in a row. So I like having the variety in them and slow progressions. So like that, for example, it probably looks like it's really easy because it is through the vast majority of the range of motion. The tension is the highest when my arm is roughly at 90 degrees. That's where there's the most tension. So at that point there is where it's the most difficult. As it comes up, it gets easier. That point there is when your front delt is contributing most to the bench. So that's where having it as the assistance is most useful. Now, last week when I did these, I did 2 sets of 8 with the empty bar. That was just, I believe, a set of 15 reps. So I'm going to do another set, aim for 15 reps again, even though that's not like crazy high RPE, crazy high difficulty. I'm only progressing it very slowly. And what I'm looking at is, rather than the maximum progression possible, is the minimum progression possible, and still making tangible progress forwards. So this week, if I get 2 sets of 15, that justifies going up, because the next increase in weight on this, I do have micro plates, but the next reasonable increase in weight on this might be 2.5 kilos, which is like 10 point something %. It's quite a big jump. You imagine you're squatting 200 kilos, that means next week you're squatting 220 kilos. It's quite a big jump, really. Some people could do that, and that might be fine, but that's definitely not the minimum progression. Just something I think I put a post on Instagram the other day. You might have to scroll back if you want to go find it, called quaternary progression or quadruple progression. So the idea of single progression is you have one set, for example, one load, and you do more reps. Or you do more reps, or you do more sets. You only change one variable. Double progression is what people usually know. So sort of 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. So you'd increase the weight and the reps until you get to the top and then start again. Triple progression is you might increase the sets and the weight and the reps. Quadruple progression is where I would include into that time. So for example, week 1, you might do 3 sets of 10 at 100 kilos in 15 minutes. Say week 6, you might do 5 sets of 10 at 105 kilos in that same time period. So you fixed one of those variables, but increased the others. Or you could even, you're technically decreasing the rest periods because you're doing more work per unit of time. So that's a different way of monitoring progression. That's especially useful for anybody who's training with time constraints. Now, I'm in a group chat with a bunch of powerlifters, not clients, just other powerlifters and powerlifting coaches. And there's one guy in there, for example, his sessions are taking him between 4 and 6 hours, 4 days a week. I don't have the time, the interest, the inclination to be in the gym training for that long, but he will rest for 10 minutes between sets. For someone like that, he's trying to eke out every possible kilo in his total possible. That's his primary thing, is being the best possible powerlifter on the planet. Like, fine. The rest of us need to work, need to do other things. And I don't want to be defeatist, but ultimately, there is a barrier to entry at that level of genetics. You don't know what your genetics are until you've trained very hard, very consistently, very well for a long time. But there is still that extra. And you can't just magic that extra through hard work. If you had long enough to train, like in your life, and age wasn't a thing, you absolutely could. But age is a thing. Time is a thing. So you can't. So for most people, it's not worth training for that long. And it's usually counterproductive because most people can't generally handle that much volume. Anyway, that light is dying, so it's flashing at me. It's making my eyes go funny. So I will just do my next set, turn that light off. I'm trying to pin my shoulder blades down when I do that and not just let my shoulders rotate, as to not use my traps too much. But yeah, that was all right. So actually that was 15, not 12 reps. What am I doing? So next up is get massive arms. So I just need to move these bits around. I'll see you in a sec. You're going to have to just believe me that that's annoying, isn't it? You're going to have to just believe me that I did push downs and curls because I didn't film them, and I'm not going to do them again because I don't want to. So next I am going to go to the gym and do leg press, leg extensions. I just tried some bodyweight squats and my knee is like, it's just like a bit angry, but my ankle more so is. So I'm going to go with a leg press because if I just do squats, I can cheat and I can effectively shift the load back onto my glutes and stand up that way. So that's defeating the whole point of me doing them. I'm not doing them to rehab a squat, I'm doing them to rehab my knees. Whereas with the leg press, I can't do that. And I can reduce the load so the leg press is less than even a bodyweight squat. Same idea with leg extensions, I can do them very, very light. So that's the plan. I head to the gym now, probably not going to record. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow shall be deadlifts on the deadlift bar. I believe last week I went up to 180 for a single or a double, I'm not sure. Should be good to do it for a set of 5 or something this week. We shall see. Take care, guys.